Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GABNET, the Great American Broadcast Network. Evolution is defined as any process of formation or growth, development. The evolution of a radio program right before your ears. Welcome into the Exchange. It's Rob Alfano, and it's a Wednesday night, a special night, and we'll talk about that in just a few moments. You're going to give us a call on Skype in a little while.
I'm Jim Browning. You're listening to the Exchange. Well, our long national nightmare just may be over. It seems that we are ready to say goodbye to reality television.
Good evening and hello, everybody. Welcome to the Exchange, your safe haven for the free and open exchange of ideas and opinions here on the Great American Broadcast Network every Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 10 Eastern, 6:30 to 7 Western. I'm your host and broker, Damian Chaplin. If you'd like to join the conversation tonight, go ahead and give us a call on Skype. I'm opening the lines right now.
The Exchange, one program, ever evolving. Be a part of evolution. Tuesday through Friday at 9:30 p.m., Damian Chaplin moves you in new directions. Call GABNET Live on Skype at 347-352-0079. The Exchange, the evolution. Tuesday through Friday at 9:30 Eastern, only on GABNET. You love GABNET. You love the hosts and the citizen panels. In fact, you wish you could take them wherever you go. On your computer, log on to gabnet.net, where our stream is available around the clock. On your TV, GABNET is available on Roku with the same around-the-clock stream, plus all the latest episodes of GABNET programs, old favorites, videos, and tons of celebrity interviews. When you're mobile, we're on your iPhone or iPad with podcasts accessible via iTunes or Stitcher, and that same around-the-clock stream on TuneIn. If you don't want GABNET wherever you go, well, the hell with you. Go ahead, listen to your old-fashioned talk shows that do things in the same old predictable way. Meanwhile, the rest of us will be having fun listening to talk like you've never heard it before on GABNET. This is an Internet Network news break. IP Pingsley reporting. Our top story, the Great American Broadcast Network, otherwise known as GABNET, is now a TuneIn partner. TuneIn, the world's largest audio network, has joined forces with GABNET, the world's most innovative talk network. GABNET's partnership with TuneIn means that listeners now have 3 main ways to listen to GABNET programming: gabnet.net, tunein.com, and the convenient TuneIn app for smartphones. To participate in the network's innovative citizen panels on GABNET programs, use Skype and type the handle GABNET Live, or call on your phone 347-352-0079. For more information on this network, its programs, and its hosts, log on to gabnet.net. That's gabnet.net. This has been an Internet Network news break. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GABNET, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hello, everybody. This is Alex Bennett, and this is the Ramble. It goes on from now until midnight, Eastern Daylight Time, and all other times. It's you're listening to a recording. Big deal. You can listen to a recording. It's be just fine. Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of people probably ready to do a citizens panel a little bit later, but right now, time to check in with an old friend who knows a lot about politics. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go out to San Francisco. There he is, Will Durst, ladies and gentlemen. We were having some trouble with my picture freezing there for a while. We had to fix that. But you can see me now. I'm moving. I'm moving a lot. Like
Yes, I like your hand movements.
you like my hand movements.
It's
Okay.
very oriental.
How you doing, my dear friend?
It's all good. How you doing, mister?
Great, great. You have a lot to talk about these days, I would imagine.
My God. The hard part is just keeping up.
Yeah, the hard part is decide what to leave out.
It is.
You know.
It is. I mean, I had a routine where I said how the Democrats could blow it. Because
Okay.
the Democrats are able to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. So I had like 10 ways that they could blow it. And one was, a lousy bench. They don't have enough candidates who are anti-abortion, pro-gun, and hate Nancy Pelosi. They need more of those. That's the one who won in Pennsylvania.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
But I had to get rid of it. It was too long.
It was too long?
It was too long.
Yeah. So did it play well, though?
It was depressing at the end of the show. That was another reason.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, it wasn't as hopeful.
Okay, well, wait a minute. You want to end your show on a happy note, right? You want to leave them out, let them leave singing the hit tune from the show.
Yes,
right?
optimistically at least.
Yeah. So what do you finish with now? Because I can't see anything that's happy.
I finished with it's time to join the resistance.
It's time to join the resistance.
Yes, and there's many ways because I don't know what to do. I'm the comic, but what do members of the resistance do? They resist.
Yeah.
They keep on voting. They adopt a dead Chicagoan. They jump in the X-Wing and head for the Death Star. They lose the mandolin music and download some Metallica. That's what I hate about NPR. It's all mandolin music. It's the only place in the world you hear a mandolin.
What I hate about NPR is they're just so, what's the word I'm looking for?
Bloodless?
Bloodless, obsequious. I don't even know what the word means, but they sound like they're obsequious because that's the kind of word they would use on NPR.
Obsequious means bowing too much.
They're bowing too much to the left. Okay?
See, I don't think they have any balls. I think they don't fight the same way that Trump fights and the Republicans fight.
Yeah. Well, for instance, I don't watch MSNBC as much as I should because I'm tired of having my dick sucked by them.
So you watch Fox?
I look at Fox occasionally. I want to see what their take is on things. I mean, it's kind of like going into that Never Never world. That other world that exists. So you're over there at MSNBC and they're saying this is the way the world is, and then you go over to Fox and it's like a bizarro world. It's like a whole different world that and then you have to, if you're honest, say to yourself, which of these worlds do I believe? And my answer has been neither of them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's your recourse? I mean, CNN?
I am so sick of watching the news. I'm so sick of the same thing happening on every story. Here's the story. Okay, now here are 3 people who are going to talk about it for 10 minutes. Thank you very much. Now we have another 3 people who are going to talk about the next subject. And it's always, you go over to MSNBC, and it's always Trump bashing, and you go over to Fox. Fox isn't exactly touting Trump. They just aren't bashing him. Okay?
But they're bashing the bashers. They're
bashing the bashers. You're right about that. Yes.
Yeah.
And then at noon every day, they put in our face at 9 o'clock your time, this show Outnumbered, which is about 4 or 5 women sitting on a couch waiting for you, and you're waiting for their legs to spread. Okay? But they keep you for an hour that way. And then they have one guy on the show they call the One Lucky Guy.
Is that true? What's
Yes.
that on?
Yes, it's called Outnumbered. It's you're probably 9 o'clock your time.
What's it on?
Fox.
Oh.
This, I think, was like the if you have like a cattle pen at a ranch, where you put all your cattle. I think this is where the former administration at Fox used to keep all their cattle.
It's the stable.
It's a stable. Yeah. The women don't look as good as they used to because since Ailes left, the taste has changed. They've tried to just be, oh, well, she knows what she's talking about instead of, hey, look at those legs.
Right.
Right. And so anyway, it was.
Yeah, I described Kellyanne Conway as the skinny, mean blonde lady who looks like she was assembled from defective IKEA parts and then flash frozen for optimum brittleness.
Oh, my.
But they're doing this all across the platforms now. On MLB network, Major League Baseball Network, they have a show. It's a wrap-up show of all the day's games every night, and it's called Quick Pitch. And it's always hosted by a woman, and it's always hosted by a woman in a dress with stockings and heels, and she has to stand right there. She stands for the entire show and narrates the clips that you're going to see. And it's always a different woman, but they all have the same costume, and they all have great legs, and the dresses are tight, but not revealing or anything. But it's almost kind of like cheating, because guys were hounds. I
know.
We will look at that shit,
but
even though it has nothing to do with reality.
That was the reason for this Outnumbered. I mean, they had this one woman who got rid of her because she wouldn't fuck Ailes.
Oh, really?
I forget what her name was, but she was one of the ones that wound up suing Fox. And she was the best looking one. She had nice big tits, and she had all the accoutrement for a Fox host.
I've always been a leg man.
And then as soon as Ailes left, I think she filed suit or something, or maybe she was fired before Ailes left. And I was always very disappointed in that because they didn't replace her with anybody, of that quality, shall we say. Now, mind you, I'm watching for all the sexist reasons you could possibly watch a TV show, but that's the reason they did this show with 4 or 5 women on it.
With you in mind.
With me in mind, exactly.
Yeah.
And as they sit there with their legs pertly together, so you can't see anything, but you're waiting for that one moment when they screw up, But it's amazing to me how women in short dresses can keep from showing their goods.
No, I think it's a learned thing.
Really?
Oh, yeah, from puberty.
Yeah.
They are taught to do stuff with their legs that nobody ever mentions to a guy. And they do it over and over and over. So they probably hear this, with the keep the legs together and cross. They hear it 3 or 4 times a week for their entire lives. We never hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we
don't understand the. Yeah.
If we wore skirts, we'd be showing our goods all the time.
Yeah, we'd be doing this. That would actually become a mating call.
Yeah. But the question is, in selecting material, where do you begin? What's the starting point for you?
For me, the starting point is a generic overlay, talking about the plight of the political comic, and then I touch on the campaign, I just lightly touch on the campaign, because I used to have stuff about Cruz and Bernie in there.
Yeah.
But I had to get rid of that because it's old now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I start out with 452 days ago, which was the inauguration.
Yeah.
And boom, and then I have like his tweet about Kofefi, and I have an overhead projector, so I actually show the tweet, and then the follow up. You know, so I have tweets, but I have a whole section there that's based on what happened in the last, as topical as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
And that one is that's the one that keeps me, that's why I'm losing my hair.
You know who did it the opposite of your way? Was years ago. I went down. We went down to Frost Amphitheater to Feldman and I to watch
Mort Saul.
No, Jay Leno work.
Oh, really?
And what Leno did is at the top of his act, his act was like 2 hours long. I mean, he went on forever, okay? But at the top of his act, he put all the topical stuff.
The brand new stuff.
And then he would go into the generic stuff so that you thought every time you went to see him that you were seeing a fresh act.
Yeah.
Whereas but you finish with the topical stuff. You finish with the stuff.
I throw it about a third of the way in.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But this is a one-man show. This is 90 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not 2 hours. It's 90 minutes, but it's also a show, and people don't normally come to see it more than once. So I don't have to worry about repeat. So I will write.
You also have to worry about running out of people to come see it.
That's yeah, and I don't have the same kind of publicity that Jay Leno has.
That's correct. That's correct.
I used to try to sell myself as being 85% as funny as Jay Leno and 1/10 the cost.
1/10? Probably far more.
Probably 100th.
Probably 100th, yeah. Something like that. No, but I'm saying that when I say where do you start, I mean with all that's happening today, where do you start? What's your starting point? Because there are so many layers to the Trump administration and to the problems in it. For instance, you've got we won't put it at the top of the list, but Stormy Daniels is definitely there. Constant story, constant headache for him. All right, but then you also have all the other things that are going on. As an offshoot of that, his lawyer, who probably knows more than just about Stormy Daniels, okay, everybody says he's going to squeal like a goddamn pig,
I don't think so. I think he's going to be loyal.
Well, Trump isn't going to be loyal to him, so why should he be loyal to Trump?
I think until Trump exhibits disloyalty, I think Cohen will be on his side.
Yeah. But there's the Korea thing. I love the latest thing was. Did you hear? I heard my wife said to me that, and I didn't hear it, that Trump said he should get a Nobel Prize.
Oh, yes, he mentioned that.
Should get a Nobel Peace Prize for what he's doing with Korea, and yet
And he called Kim Jong-un an honorable man.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, really? He's no longer Rocket Boy?
No, yeah. He went from Rocket Man to an honorable man.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. So here's the deal. Number one, he hasn't done anything about Korea. The heavy lifting has been South Korea.
Right. It was the Olympics.
It was the Olympics. It was them dealing with North Korea and trying to come to some kind of peace. And the peace hearings that are going to be held in a couple of weeks at the Peace Village at the 39th parallel are going to be between South Korea and North Korea. The whole thing about whether Trump is going to visit with Kim Jong-un is dependent on a whole bunch of factors and obstacles we've put in the way.
I don't think it happens. I don't think Trump meets with him.
You know,
Trump may have been responsible for pushing him into the arms of South Korea by his bellicosity, by being just, the out of control onion head.
If you had to say who's the biggest nutcase, Kim Jong-un or Trump, who would you choose?
Oh, I definitely pick Trump.
I think
Kim Jong-un has nothing to deal with I mean, he's got his legacy of his father and his grandfather. He's got a decimated and desiccated economy. He's got no food. I mean, there's so many problems. You know, he's stuck between South Korea with the incredible economic engine. You know, they're one of the great powers of the world. I mean, one of the top 10 economies, and he's got China behind him. So he's juggling chainsaws. You know, whereas Trump has taken one of the world's greatest power, and he's actually, you know, lost the shine. I mean, there is no shine.
That's
he's not
right.
polishing.
Well, I mean, somebody said that if you want to give the Nobel Peace Prize to somebody for Korea, that would be China. That China's probably pushing him into all of this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
remember
you know,
that train showed up in Beijing a couple of months ago? And there were some talks, and then he went back, and all of a sudden his whole tone changed.
Yeah, so they might have slapped him up a bit.
Yeah, because he needs China.
He needs food.
Yeah, he needs a lot of things. I think that he has taken a very wizened approach to this whole thing, because I think the reason why he was making a big deal about nuclear arms and missiles and so on was so people would pay attention to him, would listen to him. And now they've listened to him, and he's willing to say something, okay?
And it makes him look good in front of his people, which is all he's worried about.
Right.
He's worried about a coup. He's worried about a revolution, although people aren't, you know, are not fed enough to.
Yeah, I'm saying that they're so weak they can't fight, you know. Yeah. But and I don't think that the lack of food is his fault. It's just the fault of the country itself not being able to produce the proper amount of food. You know? Yeah,
it's not the most fertile land, North Korea.
Right. So anyway, I mean, for Trump to sit there and say I should get the Nobel Peace Prize,
you can't believe anything he says. Nothing that dribbles out of it.
Well, you know why he wants the Nobel Peace Prize?
Yeah, you can't believe that
because Obama got one.
They'll say he didn't deserve the you know. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what he says.
Yeah.
Why are people listening to him? It matters not what he says. I don't understand. People listen to him all the time.
Yeah. Now the thing that got me the other day was that he didn't go to Barbara Bush's funeral, which most presidents would do. Okay?
It was very disrespectful.
You know why I think he didn't?
Why?
Who was there?
The Obamas, the Clintons, and the Bushes.
That's correct. And who is he just absolutely reviled and tweeted to a fare thee well? The Clintons, the Bushes, and the Obamas. He didn't want to have to sit there next to Barack Obama. He didn't want to have to look him straight in the face. Or Bill Clinton, and to a lesser extent, Jeb Bush.
Yeah, he knows they hate him.
Yeah. So he sent her.
You see how happy Melania was hanging out with him?
Well, I mean, Malaria is happy to be anywhere besides next to this fat fuck.
I know, but she was smiling, and I hope they recruited her. Seriously, I hope they gave her like a little book with codes in it so that she can tell everybody what he really thinks.
Well, I honestly believe that if you got Melania in a corner and got her to kind of just spill her guts, she'd tell you she doesn't like anything that's going on. She feels trapped in the White House. You know.
She's handled it very well, though. She's been very discreet.
Well, she puts on a nice dress every day, you know. She looks gorgeous. She almost looks too gorgeous for a first lady. You know, you want them to be a little kind of not frumpy, because Michelle Obama wasn't frumpy, but she certainly didn't glam up. You know.
But I wouldn't want to arm wrestle Michelle Obama.
Oh, jeez. You know, there's a reason why Barack didn't fuck around on her. She beat the shit out of him. You know,
big girl.
You want to get that Amazon mad at you? I don't think so.
She's a big girl.
Yeah.
And Barbara Bush, I mean, there were so many things about Barbara Bush. She married George H.W. She had George W. as a kid. And one of the last things she said, did you hear this?
No.
She was in the hospital or a hospice and she's dying, and George W. Came to visit her, and she said to the nurse, "See, I smoked and I drank when I had him. That explains a lot, doesn't it?"
Did she
She had a sense of humor, but let's not forget the shit that happened like during Katrina. Where she said, and everybody was forced to go to the Super Bowl, and then they were complaining about the conditions at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And she said, well, these people are underprivileged to begin with. What difference does it make? So
she wasn't as nice a person as we'd like to remember her.
I think she was, a sterling silver stick. I think she was the rod that held the family together.
Well, I think there's one other factor we have to throw in here, is that she was considered wonderful by comparison
to Nancy Reagan.
Well, no, to her son and her husband. She seemed to be she
was anti-abortion. I mean, she was pro-abortion.
Yeah, I mean, she seemed to be the voice of reason in this family of. Well,
it was an uncomfortable marriage that they had to make, both George H.W. and George W. with a constituency they didn't really connect with. So, I mean, that's why they always seemed a little out of sorts. George H.W. was never really that guy to have a beer with. And George W., I mean, these were smart guys. They believe that a woman should have a right to choose, yet they were forced to hang out with the people who don't.
Yeah, yeah. But all I'm saying is the reason he didn't show up is he's a coward. He didn't want to have to face those people face to face.
He played golf.
Somebody, I think my wife said he wasn't even invited.
Oh, I don't know. I think they had to invite him.
Well, I mean, he should have gone. I mean, that's something. Well, I'm expecting presidential out of him, and I suppose that just isn't even in the cards, right?
He doesn't have the balls to go to the Washington Correspondents' Dinner. Oh,
he's missing it again this year, right? And he said last year he was going to go to this year's.
No, he would never go.
What he can't
didn't like being the object of scorn and derision.
Yeah, and that's part of going to it, I mean. But
also by going to it, you tamp down what they're going to say, because everybody's always going to be here. Okay.
Yeah.
Except for Colbert, during Bush.
Yeah.
For that.
But anyway, by the way, what brew are you drinking today?
It's half. It's Pete's, and it's half French roast and half decaf French roast.
Okay, and mine is the Big Bang. I'm now taking those little make it yourself cups, not the K cups, but the one you fill up with coffee.
The generic one.
And I went and got the ground version of the Big Bang. Oh, which one's that?
That's Eloise.
Yeah. I got that version of it, and I'm very happy with it because I get more out of it than I do out of the K cups. I get probably for maybe a third of the price of a box of 16 K cups, I get maybe 32 cups of coffee out of a bag. So
for the same price, yeah.
Yeah. So and plus,
the K cups always taste plasticky.
I don't know that they do, but then again, my taste buds are shot. Okay, so
well, I smoke and I drink coffee.
And I don't mind having my coffee taste like plastic because it's the same wonderful taste you get from the ocean now. So
it's a preservative. Yeah, and you've been preserved very well. You look good.
I do look good. I feel like crap, but
how is it coming out of winter and coming into spring?
Well, finally we have some spring here. Finally we have some spring. But it was so long that last week I was getting terminally grouchy from the weather, Yeah. And it was hurting me too, because I mean, when it's damp all the time and all of that, all the little aches and pains start coming out, You know what I'm talking about.
Every single crack and
like San Francisco is not the place to exactly live if you've got arthritis.
No, it's always foggy, especially out in the sunset.
Yeah,
it's always foggy.
By the way, show us out your window now. Let's just see so people know. This is, of course, broadcast during the day. Look at that. That's the ocean. That's the Pacific Ocean. And I wish I could show you the Atlantic Ocean, but I'd have to take this camera out to Long Island or somewhere like that.
Not if you get high enough.
Yeah, right. So, is that the same one? Yeah. Is she the loving one of the bunch?
Yeah, she really doesn't understand me talking to the computer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she gets upset when I talk on the phone, but when I'm talking to the computer.
Oh, wow. So we'll see probably in about another 3 weeks, but before then, what do you think's going to happen? Anything monumental?
Every day is a surprise. It's a treat for all of us who are watching this.
Yeah.
Now he's got problems with his personal doctor that he nominated for Secretary of Veteran Affairs, and now he's talking to Macron, and he made a mistake. He said France has been one of our great partners. Of course, France is part of the European Union, and we have problems with them. But so I mean, he's always going to screw up every single day. He's never had this.
Well, they call Macron the Trump whisperer. That he can actually talk to him and make sense to him.
It doesn't matter what he says. Just watch what he does.
Just watch what he does.
Yeah. What about you?
Huh?
What about you? What do you got coming up?
Nothing. A death, I think, at some point.
Well, not soon.
Yeah, it's something to look forward to, especially in these times.
The glory of modern medicine will keep you on cords and tubes and plugs. And
if we can take a couple of more minutes here, the thing that gets me about my age is I know I'm only going to live a certain amount of time. I figure, maybe I have 15 years. Maybe I have 1.
92 would be good.
I have no idea, how much time I have. But that I'm never going to be able to see how bad all of this gets. I mean, 100 years from now, we may not even be a country anymore.
Yeah, this guy has set a template, of how to strong arm your way into the presidency.
Well, America has set a template. America voted for this guy. A certain amount of America backs this guy. I mean, to think that anybody could back this guy is amazing to me.
35% of America.
And I have this guy that I did an interview with who I'm doing another interview with tomorrow night, who was in concentration camps. And he says to me, this is all very reminiscent. I see him and I go, how are you feeling? He says, Trump. He says, it really's got me worried. He's 87. He's not going to have to deal with this very much longer, okay? Although I hope he lives to be 100 because I love the man. But his feeling that this all happened once before to him is what scares me.
As they say in Germany, he shows great promise.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will say goodbye once again to our good friend in San Francisco, Will Durst. Goodbye, Will.
See you in a bit.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GABNET, the Great American Broadcast Network.
And there's our good friend Will Durst. I hope you enjoyed him. I certainly do. He makes me laugh and he makes me think, and he does a whole bunch of things. And if you live out in the Bay Area and you get a chance to go see one of his shows, please, folks, be sure that you do, because they're really well worth it. Okay? All right? Okay, thank you very much. Anyway, listen, tomorrow night, the first, we probably won't get to the citizen panel till about an hour in, maybe a little less than that. We have the last and final segment with our friend Jack Garfine about his remembrances in the concentration camps. And if you never heard the other 2 episodes, don't miss this one, okay? Because this one is all about Auschwitz and beyond. In other words, what happened to him when he hit Auschwitz, and some interesting people he met, and the rest of his liberation. And it is 50 stunning minutes that I don't think you'll ever forget. And I don't think I'm overselling it either, okay? So I just want to warn you now, if you miss it, you miss it. Well, you don't miss it because we'll be playing it back. We're also going to, after it's over, after it's been broadcast, we're going to put this the whole thing up as a hour and 50-minute solid piece of video. So you know, it's your shot to hear really a great interview, and that's tomorrow night with Jack Garfine. So we'll go on about 5 minutes of 11 with our citizen panel, as opposed to the normal time, which is now. If anybody decides to call, where our lines are open, and we just wait for people to call, and I sit here, you know, doing it. How do you like the new camera, huh? It's looking pretty good. I'm very happy with it. I bought it, you know, they had it on sale at Best Buy for $159, and it was $159 at Logitech, who makes the camera. And then yesterday I checked, and the price went back up to $200. So I bought both of these cameras at the right time, and I saved about $80 on 2 of them. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now I'm just waiting for people to call. As I wait and I wait and I tap my fingers. Do I have anything to tell you? Nothing much happening today, you know. I've been very depressed. I've gained some weight. I've gained like about 3 or 4 pounds. And I don't understand why, because I've been doing the low-carb diet. But I have been, all of a sudden, I gained, today I gained 1.5 pounds from the day before. And I'm going, what on? I didn't even eat much. I had made myself some ribs for dinner. And maybe that did it. Maybe that added water weight or something. But I've been depressed all day over that, because I'm so proud of my weight loss and the fact that I've kept it off for at least a year, that I hate to see it, you know, suddenly going up. Well, here's our first caller of the night, ladies and gentlemen. There he is. Hi, Phil. How are you? It's Phil Meyer, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, you know, I watch you for the first half hour on the Gabnet site, and I don't have Skype up until you say the lines are open. And not only is, you know, you have the normal delay, but nobody sees that the lines are open, and if, you know, and I don't want to have the thing play while I call in. So anyway, you get people sooner.
Well, yeah,
how you doing?
I'm doing okay. I was talking about it. I've gained some weight. I've gained about 4 pounds or something, and I have not been. I've been literally dieting.
Yeah,
and nothing. It goes up, doesn't go down. It's ridiculous.
You got to be eating something that's turning into carbs.
No, I'm not. I had relatively no carbs yesterday. I made myself some ribs, put very few carbs onto it, you know, in the way of barbecue sauce and things like that. So that couldn't have done it. But
it doesn't take much.
But it could have been. No, it could have been the ribs.
Yeah.
That were salty and added a lot of water weight, because I don't feel heavier. I just weigh more, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe what put the weight on. I don't know. But I haven't been doing anything that should be putting weight on me. And, I just have a hard time keeping it off now, you know, so.
That's you were worried a few months ago that you were losing so much weight so quickly and you couldn't stop the downward spiral.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm
Now you're eating bread from New Jersey.
yeah.
Well,
I've stopped doing that because I don't see on the bread. Let me tell people what we're talking about. On the bread, there is a what do you call it? You look and see how many carbs are in there, because whenever you buy something, you want to see how many carbs are in the food. All right, and it says 3 carbs per serving, and there are 5 servings in the loaf. So that makes 15 carbs in the whole loaf.
You sure one slice isn't 5 servings?
No.
All right.
It says how many servings there are in the loaf, and it says 5.
All right.
So if it's 3, carbohydrates per serving, then there are 15 carbohydrates in the loaf.
Yeah.
But I don't know. How is that? It says it has flour, yeast, and sugar in it, and yet it only has, and I keep waiting. I keep going down to the grocery store and waiting for them to change the packaging, saying, whoops, we're going to get in trouble for this. We have the wrong numbers here.
Have you thought about calling them and asking them?
Well, I wrote them, and they never wrote me back, but I think I may call them tomorrow and just say, really, is this actually 3 grams per serving? And
so how many loaves do you eat a day?
I don't eat a whole loaf. I eat maybe 2 slices or a slice. I haven't had it in a while now because I don't trust it.
Yeah. Well, when I did the Atkins diet, I lost a lot of weight. I felt great. I looked great. Mm-hmm. And it didn't take much for the stuff to just pour back on me. Now, I started eating a few morsels of rice. And
you got to still, you got to be careful about it. You got to keep doing it, I don't know. I mean, I've been very good. Today I had 3 poached eggs and 5 slices of bacon. 0 carbs. Okay? Yeah. For dinner.
Is it honey soaked bacon or
no.
Sugar
I looked at the amount of carbs on the back of the bacon, and it says 0. Okay. And then for dinner, I had chicken. How many carbs in that? 0. And I had a slice of cheese. How many carbs in that? 0. Let's see what happens tomorrow.
Okay. Well, maybe you reverse course.
I have no carbs in me today at all. Let's see what fucking happens. Okay. But I mean, I don't know what's putting the weight on. Couldn't figure it
Drinking
out.
Again?
Huh?
That bourbon,
No, I'm not doing the bourbon. No, not doing any of that. No wine. We had some guests over on Sunday.
Yeah.
And Marjorie made this giant bowl of fruit.
That'll do it.
Which I didn't do. I did a couple of pieces of cantaloupe, and that was it. Just a couple, Yeah. I could eat that whole bowl because I really love fruit. You know?
That's one of the things I sort of got off of when I did Atkins and was successful at it. And I've pretty much stayed away from fruit. Although lately I've been thirsty, and Faye buys these pineapple spears.
Oh,
and,
they're good.
Oh, they are so good. And and it quenches my thirst.
Well, I'm beginning to think. I mean, fuck this diet. I want to go back and have fun again. I mean,
did you keep your old clothes?
Huh? No.
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 All right. Well.
No. So we're gonna have to. I guess we're gonna have to stick on the diet.
Yeah.
So
it's either that or buy a new wardrobe.
So is this where I beg for people to call?
I don't know that you have to do that. I think that people call when it's their opportunity to call.
Yeah.
They have dinner. They have you got a lot of Californians, and so a lot of them are probably eating dinner at about this time.
Well, I don't know. Tonight again, I said to girlfriend, "This is the last week for me. This is it. This is it." And no, but it probably isn't the last week for me. I'll be here next week and be doing more.
I was wondering, you had mentioned Gabnet TV for your Roku. Did I invent that one too, that name?
No.
Wait a minute here. I remember after you made Gabnet Live for the Roku, I said, why didn't you use like something like Gabnet TV? And you said,
the reason I made a Gabnet Live, there's only one reason it's Gabnet Live on Roku for the audio channel.
Right.
Because I had created one called Gabnet.
Mm-hmm.
And either I didn't use it for one reason or another, or somebody else had Gabnet.
Yeah, well,
and so therefore I took the Gabnet Live, which was your suggestion, but
right.
And it was a good suggestion, but it wasn't. I didn't name it because I said, "Oh, Phil came up with a great name." It was that I needed a name,
right?
So Gabnet.
After you did it, I said, "How come you didn't use Gabnet TV?" And then a couple weeks later, there was Gabnet TV.
Gabnet TV has been there for quite a while. I mean, well, what was I going to call it?
Well, you called it Gabnet Live.
I'll call it Gabnet, not Phil Myers TV. That's what I call it.
I'm good at coming up with names, but
no, that's not coming up with a good name. You know what's coming up with a good name was Albert.
He came up with Gabnet.
Well, yeah, he came up with Gabnet. I mean, I came up with Great American Broadcast Network, and then he kind of as a joke called it Gabnet.
Yeah,
and that's what stuck. But that's how things happen.
And you were using that to sign on to Skype, and I said, "What about Gabnet Live?" I came up with a couple of them, but Gabnet Live was the best.
Yeah.
But I remember, I was listening, and you said, Gabnet TV, and I remember that came a while afterwards, and I mentioned something to you in passing when you had Gabnet Live for the Roku. I said, why don't you pick Gabnet TV? And you said, well, I had to put something there. I put Live, and
yeah,
it is.
Well, so what do you want? You want money for that?
Not everybody's got their hand out, Alex.
Oh, not everybody has their hand out? Okay.
No, recognition would be nice, but
hello to Jeff. How are you, Jeff?
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah. Well, he's taking credit now for, I mean, I came. You said Gabnet Live, and there was a reason why I did need a name that wasn't Gabnet.
Right.
I mean, I would be very happy if my Roku channel was just called Gabnet, and I can't remember why it's not just called Gabnet.
Yeah.
And why it's called Gabnet Live.
I think when you were setting it up, you had to do something. I don't remember what it was.
Either that somebody else had the name Gabnet or something.
Yeah.
And
in like South America or some church.
No, that's the
Skype.
Skype. Well, no, it is. Wait a minute, it isn't. Wait a minute, it isn't Skype. I'm trying to think. Where does it? I want to Gabnet.com.
Right.
And I couldn't get it because there is a Gabnet.com, and if you type it in, folks, you're going to get some kind of, I don't know what it is. It's a governmental agency of Brazil, I think is what it stands for. Yeah. And so I went Gabnet.net, which I never liked .nets particularly, but then it just really fit, Gabnet.net. It's easier to remember than Gabnet.com.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why it's Gabnet.net.
Well,
and I'm sticking to it. I pay for it, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah. I just got the bill again for another year of being able to have that name, So.
Yeah, I've got to put some time into my. I've got a website, and all it's got is a picture of me and says under construction, and it's been under construction for a year and a half. So, I haven't even looked at it. I don't even remember
now
what
that
the
you've
codes
had your
are,
operation, you're no longer under construction. So,
Oh yeah, well, yeah. No, that's. I was just trying to lose weight, and they took out the prostate.
Well, it's rather radical, but how are you feeling overall?
Other than the continence things, I feel really good. The diaper stuff is getting really old. And I can't seem to get anyone at Kaiser to call me back and give me a prescription to this oxybutynin, which is supposed to take care of weak bladder.
Well, I don't know if your problem is weak bladder.
Well,
That's
I
not-
think
that's-
what happens
no,
is when they put that Foley catheter and it goes up into your bladder, I think it makes things.
No. But the reason why you're peeing your pants, can we put it that way, Grandpa? The reason you're peeing your pants is because God, in His infinite jest, invented the prostate, and He didn't say, "Oh, I think I'll put it over to the side here, or I'll put it over on this side here. Where would it go? I'll make it like a donut, and I'll have the urethra go right through it." Well, that does create the ability for your prostate to kind of
Right, but
slow the flow, as it were. But you don't have a prostate anymore, so you've got to do it yourself.
Do you know how they
Thank you,
remove the
God.
prostate?
What?
You know how they remove the prostate? They actually cut the urethra, and then they remove the prostate, and then when they insert the catheter as a guide, they take the urethra and they pull it back together, they sew it up, and then within about 10 days when they remove the prostate, it's the urethra is back together. Now, they don't want me to lift anything heavy, so I don't tear that, but that's how they do it. They cut it, remove it, and sew it back together.
All this seems rather draconian. It seems like they should have a better way of doing this.
How do you get the thing out of there without making the cancer go all over the place without cutting the prostate?
Well, I mean, I don't know, but certainly this is not, this is not the best way for you to have to handle this whole thing. I mean, becoming Mr. P in your pants is not a fun idea. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But, it was interesting when I saw them do it on YouTube. I had no idea they cut the urethra, and that's how they did it.
Really? Oh, okay, well, now
You
know
saw
that.
it on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, that might be something I'd see.
On the Da Vinci robotic machine. And it was interesting the way the doctor would manipulate it. He put his fingers in these holders. And they turn their hands, and they're able to do this.
Yeah, and what they're saying is, wonder what would happen if I do this.
How much would he scream?
How much?
I scream
on a scale of 1 to 5. What's the pain when I do this?
I knew to tell them it was 10, always 10. And I asked for Dilaudid, and they kept giving me morphine.
Yeah. What happened to Renee? Her camera moved, and she's now off camera.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is. What?
I'm putting my earbuds in.
Oh, I see. Putting the earbuds in. Yeah.
So, Alex, you were talking about your diet earlier. By the way, I love listening to Will Durst. He is, if you're somebody who likes politics, Will Durst is your comedian.
Yeah.
When you're listening to Will Durst, whose looks was he making fun of? He was making fun of somebody's looks.
I didn't hear that.
It was Barbara Bush or...
Oh, well, see, Barbara. So my problem with Barbara Bush is really simple. She's pro-choice, and she's sold out. So her jackass husband. She's pro-choice.
She's pro-choice. Yeah.
Yeah. She sold out so her husband could be president. And then Laura Bush, the bitch, sold out for 8 years, just like Barbara did. So Laura Bush was there selling out her soul, even when she had daughters. And then she starts to wave the pro-choice flag after she leaves the office. Yeah, no, honey, sorry. You could have done a whole lot of good while you were the president's wife, and you chose to do jack shit.
Rather beat up on people that have an idea that you don't like, and so therefore it's no good. I was just wondering about Bill Durst, because here he was beating up on somebody for their looks, and that's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black.
No, see,
wait a minute. I made fun of Barbara Bush for her looks the other night by saying she looks like the guy in the Quaker Oats box.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I don't think it was Barbara Bush. I'll have to listen to the rerun to hear who he was talking about.
I won't make fun. I won't go head to head with Will Durst. I will not do it, and I won't do it with his wife either. He's too funny. He's too frickin' smart, and he's so smart that he makes sarcastic look really easy.
Yes.
Oh, I like him very much.
I can't do any of those things. I will not go head to head with him. So he can look any way. He can talk about anybody's looks he wants. I won't. He's very smart.
Yeah. As long as it's not anti-abortion.
The thing is, Phil, I can give you all of the math and the facts and the science behind being pro-choice, and it all comes down to your opinion, because almost every choice I make is based in fact or math or science. And if you're telling me that I shouldn't say anything bad about these people who are every baby makes a difference people, no, they have no facts. They have no facts.
But Barbara Bush wasn't that way. Barbara Bush was pro-choice.
No, she wasn't. She just kept her mouth shut.
And I think Laura Bush was pro-choice.
She just kept her mouth shut for 8 fucking years. And let's talk about this.
Well, let me ask you this, okay, Renee, for a second. Mm-hmm. You're suddenly saying that because her husband decides to be a politician and run for president of the United States, that once he becomes that, she can still have her independence to say whatever she feels, or does she kind of have to kind of back off a little bit, let him be president? What is your point? At what point do you say, hey, enough is enough, I've got to say something, and is it your responsibility? What's your responsibility first, to your cause or to your husband?
Okay, so first off, both Bushes had to sell their souls to the right-wing people, and they did it while they were campaigning. So it wasn't the fact that they had to sell their souls before they got into the race. Yeah. So he didn't get into office and then she changed her mind because she had to be quiet. It wasn't a Hillary Clinton moment where they schooled her and told her she had to shut up. That's what Hillary got. You're just the president's wife. You can't fix healthcare. Shut up and sit down. That's not what Barbara Bush did, and that's not what Laura Bush did. What they did is they bought into the Kool-Aid before they were even nominated, and that's one of the things they kept their mouth shut through the entire thing.
Obama was pro-life before he got elected?
I don't think it matters, but you want to know one more thing? What I want one more thing.
On several things he changed his mind, and he said, I've changed my mind because that's what people do. If you're a thinking person, you don't stick rigidly to something you once believed when you are presented with enough proof that your feeling is wrong.
Donald Trump was pro-choice before he was nominated. He was pro-choice. He did not turn over until he found out he had a chance to be president, and then it all rolled over.
Maybe he didn't turn over, Renee, until he got sued by a bunch of the women that he impregnated.
Oh, you mean the 19 people taking him to court? There's 19 now, right? Yeah, 19.
Taking who to court? Taking Trump to court. 19 taking Trump to court?
No, I don't think so.
19 people on the complaint now.
Yeah.
How many on Bill Cosby?
Now that's whataboutism.
There was 50.
No, but it has nothing to do with Trump. Trump's our president. Bill Cosby's a washed-up comic. Okay?
Yeah, but he'll run for president.
No, he won't. He's lucky if he can make it through the next year and still be alive, for crying out loud. Hello, Patrick.
Hi.
Hey, Patrick, so I was thinking about Patrick, did you guys listen to the hero from the Waffle House shootings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this is something Patrick talked about. He said the Waffle House shooting guy said he grabbed the muzzle of the gun,
mm-hmm. and
it was hot, and he burned his hand. And it was something that Patrick always, one of the things Patrick talks about is the don't
grab the muzzle
grab
of a gun.
Hot things, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah. And did you see the mark in his elbow where the bullet? So the bullet must have impacted right here and then slid across his skin, and you could see the slid marks from the bullet.
I didn't watch it. I didn't watch The Hero. Was he interesting?
Yeah, he said he was trying to save his own life, and
now that's an honest answer. That's an honest answer. Because years ago they had Audie Murphy was the most decorated man in World War II, and when somebody finally said to him, "Well, you know something, you really turned out to be the bravest man in the American forces," he says, "Bravery had nothing to do with it." He said, "What did?" He said, "My desire to survive."
There you go.
He said, I'm no hero. I'm a guy who just went crazy, charged up a hill because otherwise I was going to be dead one way or the other, And I always liked that answer because it was the most honest answer I ever heard, because this whole stuff about hero this, hero that, it's bullshit, People do what they got to do, and sometimes they're unintentional heroes, And there's nothing wrong with that. They still managed to do some good.
So another gun point that you guys haven't spoken about, and this is what the kids are asking for, where you're not allowed to be able to get your hands on these weapons until you're 25 years old. Pardon?
21.
Okay. I thought anyway. So the deal is that, do you know when schizophrenia in males? First off, do you know that that schizophrenia affects males more than it does women in every way, shape, or form by like 90%?
Depends.
We don't have a lot of schizophrenia in women. So the deal is that, do you know when schizophrenia shows?
You know why? Why we yes, that's right. You beat me to the punch. Damn it!
I don't believe that one.
I know. I could have waited. I'm sorry.
What did you say, Kevin?
I said I was waiting for that one.
That one was very obvious. You saw it coming at you.
Sorry, I screwed up that. The issue is that schizophrenia in males shows up in their late teens, early 20s. So this is something that they don't have. Our mental health system, or mental health in some way, shapes, or form, is still in its infancy. We can't tell if somebody before that time period is going to break. We can't,
And this Waffle House shooter, Renee,
he's
had his guns taken away. They were given back to his father out of state. And
his father gave them back to him.
Right. And on top of that, he had several run-ins with the law. This kid had made terrorist threats. He went
to the White House.
Yeah, he was arrested by the Secret Service at the White House.
Yeah.
Now,
how is that not a red flag?
Yeah, that's what I wonder.
How is that not a red flag?
Gee, wait a minute. Hold on a second. He was just that close to being a hero.
For you.
So the question is what do you have to do to get red flagged if showing up naked in a Waffle House or showing up in the area of the president you're not supposed to be, and those aren't red flags?
Well, can I ask you, he was naked in the Waffle House, but was his dick hanging out?
After a while, I think they...
because if his dick wasn't hanging out, then that's almost okay.
He had no shirt. But have you ever been
that's
to a
naked?
Waffle House?
That's naked?
Well, eventually, he had no clothes at all. But
he just had a jacket on.
Yeah, somebody saw him.
All he had was a jacket on. And so in the wrestle or in the fight, the jacket comes off and he's naked. And he's naked running outside.
Yeah, this kid.
And then he wonders why he got identified.
Well, you know.
I was hoping for.
Have you ever eaten at Waffle House?
Yeah, I've been to them.
Well, maybe shooting it up was a good thing.
Oh, Jesus, Phil.
So Phil, let's
there are, what, 5 people dead?
I thought 4.
4? Okay, 4, 5 doesn't really matter, Phil. What you just did was in bad taste.
Hey,
so just change it. No, change it. If a shooter
Yes, he had his pants down.
If the shooter was at the steakhouse, then would you have said the same joke if he was shooting up a steakhouse like Ruth Chris?
No, not if I couldn't get the early bird special.
Yeah. So another thing, who wants to talk about all of the Republicans' fears of keeping an entire industry afloat for the entire Obama administration. So we heard that the person, so Remington has gone out of business.
They're bankrupt.
Right. And then the bump stock person is going out of business. So your fear of the black man coming to get your gun for 8 years propped up an entire industry.
Right.
Coming to get my gun. No, my fear is not the black man. It's the government. And
we've changed it. Okay. We're now after the government.
No, I was never worried about the black man coming to get my gun. I was worried about people like you wanting to take them away. You know,
I just want you to be a competent individual.
Well, he's competent. He's competent.
See, I want
with
the same thing for driver's
He's competent with the guns, and he's not crazy until the tumor hits. Then we don't know what he's going to do, but he's got a gun.
Exactly. But you can't, unless you're going to tackle the Second Amendment, you can't put out there the fact that you're trying to take away.
Well,
they're not taking. You know what? Those kids are not trying to take away your guns, Phil.
Okay. We're all over the place now. Let me take this in a certain direction. Trump the other day said that I'm laughing when I think about it, that he should get a Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh my God.
Because for Korea, for North Korea. Now, first of all, he's had really little or nothing to do with Korea's turnabout. Wait a minute, hold on a second. South Korea did all the heavy lifting on that one, has been doing all the talking for the most part. And the people who whipped him into shape, remember that little trip he took to China about a month ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what that was about? He came back, and right after that, he suddenly wanted to make peace. He suddenly wanted to denuclearize. He needed some help from China, and China said, you gotta do a turnaround.
He did.
Yeah, so these are the guys who should be getting a Nobel Peace Prize.
Trump went to the Chinese, and he made a deal with the Chinese.
He didn't make any deal with the Chinese.
He asked the Chinese and Xiaoping. They met at Mar-a-Lago. They discussed this. And
Xiaoping at Mar-a-Lago? Did he go there?
Yeah. So just remember the simple fact, okay, that in this particular case, Donald Trump is your worst boss. He is going to take every idea that you've ever had or put out there and claim it for himself.
He just did that to Alex.
He is. I know. We heard that. He is the worst boss because he doesn't care what you say, and he's going to claim your ideas, and he's going to take credit for it. He's going to do this the entire time he's president, and he's going to start patting himself on the back for going up and just getting a star, for putting on his big boy pants for the day.
Yeah.
He's not pro-choice.
He is.
Oh, he's pro-choice. Hey,
he was. You think of all the women that he's fucked over, both physically and
by the way,
financially, that he hasn't had a few abortions.
He's paying $130,000 a bang. I don't think he's fucked over anybody.
What was it? The woman who got pregnant by him? Did she have an abortion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, obviously he's pro-choice.
That's one. That's the one we know of. What about the rest of the 19? Did you ask them?
The doorman got $30,000 on that deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what we do when we fuck somebody and get pregnant is, how much money can I get out of him? Not what to do with the child, not if you're financially set, not any of those things. It's how much money is he going to pay me? What do you live in Texas, Phil?
Well, I'd like to if it had a beach.
It does. Galveston Beach.
Well,
and same South Padre Island.
You have the Gulf of Mexico there.
Yeah. It's brown water, but it's still.
And it's contaminated by was it Exxon? Who had the spill?
It was
Exxon. No, that was BP.
The BP oil spill.
BP, yeah.
Yeah, but your lovely man. Go buy some Gulf Coast property.
Well, it's like
property.
It's like
why?
Yeah.
Would you like to know why? Because he removed all of the regulations off of the oil drilling platforms that President Obama put in after the fire. He removed them all. So please, Phil, every Republican, run to the coast, go buy some land, because it's going to happen again.
Yeah, have fun water skiing on flames. You know,
Yeah.
You know what? It's like I said to Will Durst, because he said he doesn't like these Keurig K cups because it makes the coffee taste like plastic, and I said, well, I like the taste of the ocean.
Yeah. Hey,
Now that was a joke that worked.
Cups from Costco.
Huh?
The K cups from Costco. They have their own brand. They're not plastic. They're like a.
There's a non-plastic version now of the K cup. Yeah.
Right. It's a recyclable. I think it's
paper.
Yeah, it's like a paper.
No, I got a thing called your coffee. That coffee you turned me on to.
Death Wish.
Death Wish has special little cups that are not plastic.
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
The other thing the UK is doing, which I think is very, very good, is they banned plastic straws. And I'm very happy about that.
They just did it in Monterey, too.
And Starbucks, I think, did away with plastic straws.
Yeah, well, Starbucks did away with black people.
I know, that too.
All right. Now there's a joke. No, that's so does anybody own, I have two questions.
By the way, they did a Family Guy last night where they did the Family Guy from 1956, and there's an ad on it for Fred Trump properties when you don't want to live next to black people.
Which blender is everybody using? I know there's one that you all like and that Marjorie loves.
I don't
A
use
Vitamix and
Is it a Vitamix?
Ninja.
Oh, Ninja, yeah, your blender, you mean?
Yeah, which one?
The Ninja.
The Ninja
like it?
has these things for making smoothies.
Yeah.
The Vitamix is, I don't know what it's good for, but I got one.
Yeah, but,
Okay.
but
Anybody have a Roomba?
No, I got an Oric.
Okay. Does it work too? Does it?
I got to push it. It's
Okay. You got to put it. It's. I was curious to know if anybody had one of those guys that did their own thing.
the vacuuming. A lot of people have those, and they say they're happy with them.
we have a Dyson. We have a Dyson, and it went bad on us after about a year or two. So I just took it back to Costco, and they gave me a new one.
Do you know that on wall-to-wall carpets, the manufacturers won't warrant it if you use a Dyson on it?
Why?
Because the Dyson actually has too much suction.
Suction.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's an engineering
And they have
question.
too
if
little
anybody
rug.
wants to-
That's the reason why.
So what it is the Dyson has made a name because it has a very powerful engine that does very good at suction. But it's only good at suction for about 1.5 to 2 years. And then the machine either works average or works below average. So my guess is that this engine is so powerful that it can't hold its integrity for more than that time period because of the amount of suction that it puts out. But that was a guess.
No, there's no carpet fiber left for it to suck.
Okay. Knock me down. Go ahead. I want to hear. What did I do?
I would, just taking a guess, I would say that some of the plastic, which is the basic structure there, is getting worn out.
Oh.
Okay, and that as it's worn out, little small increments of plastic are jamming into the gears and whatever.
Could be.
And,
That's a good point.
That's what reduces the speed or the force, and it'll probably change the sound.
They have a small impeller.
Thank you.
That small impeller can get gummed up with dirt and so forth, and that could reduce its...
Or it wears out and it gets space in there and it lets air through the wrong place.
Well,
the reason
do you actually
this,
do some of your warranties for your rugs say do not use a Dyson on this rug?
Absolutely. Mohawk, Shaw, UCL.
Really?
Almost all of the carpet manufacturers say that if you use a Dyson, that they won't warrant it, that it voids the warranty.
So why do you ask, Renee?
because, well, for one thing, Dyson, so that's the other thing. Dyson started about a year and a half into it. They start sending me 20% off coupons. And I'm like, okay, how did you know my vacuum was going to die after a year and a half? And the other thing is I have 3 cats and 1 dog, and the floors, because they're no longer carpet, you see everything.
Traitor.
Everything.
I'll tell you though. I really got to tell you that the Dyson has just performed miraculously. I mean,
until it died and you had to take it to Costco.
Well, no, it had a problem, and so I took it back, and it was probably something I could have fixed, but I just said to hell with it. I went back. I want to see. It's 2 years later. Let's see if they take. Yeah, here's your money back. Now go get another one off the shelf, and they were cheaper by that time. Yes, Patrick.
The vacuum cleaner that I have, it's called My Mother Comes Once a Week.
Uh-huh. It's a beautiful. It's the best vacuum cleaner you can possibly get, from what I understand.
And she brings you sandwiches.
And I'm not going to make any jokes. I'm not going to make any jokes about suction.
No,
because it's your mother.
Yeah, I'm not going to make any jokes at all if somebody's coming to clean my house.
It's the one item that I can vacuum, and I've done it, but it is so strenuous to try to turn while you're in the chair, because you're using one hand to hold the damn vacuum, and then you're trying to move the chair. So my mother, my stepdad, they come once a week, and whatever I can't get, they'll help me out with, and vacuuming is really the main thing. So.
Hey, Patrick, there's a guy in my twice-a-month camera club.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Jeff's had his hand up forever here.
Oh,
yeah.
So the vacuum that we got is also from Costco, but it's Shark.
Yeah, how is that going?
They work great.
How long have you had it?
It seems like 4 years or 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been great.
Excellent. Upright or?
Yeah,
it's a competitor to the Dyson, right?
Yeah. It's a competitor to the Dyson.
My neighbor had one, and he talked nothing but good about the Shark.
Really?
Yeah, because years ago I bought a Shark. Years ago, and they were terrible. But apparently in the intervening years, they've gotten good.
Jeff, does your Shark have a beater bar? You know what that is? Like on the bottom of a Hoover, it rotates.
No, I have a hooker that comes in once a week and does it for me.
Yeah, there's an option for that.
Hooker?
Because
it comes with some option.
Yeah, for
like that are made for wood and
right. Okay, then no beater bars for wood.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Patrick, I was saying that there's a guy in my twice-a-month camera club that has a wheelchair that can go upstairs. It's amazing. It looks like one of those things that they ride around the mall in.
You know who invented that? Was the same guy who invented the Segway.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
It's like that. So, I thought about saying to the guy, hey, I want to take a picture for a friend of mine. You think he could stand up so I could see you? Chair a little better.
How much are those going for, Phil? How much those things?
They're probably $15,000-$20,000. I would imagine.
What, Patrick? You probably know more about this than Phil does.
Well, my guess is it's about the same as a small car, because a typical motorized wheelchair, just a basic one, and I don't mean what you see at Costco. I mean an actual wheelchair, not a scooter.
Yeah.
Run somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,000 to $8,000. The chair that I'm sitting in, which is a manual, is right around $3,000. And all it is aluminum, and there's nothing motorized on it. So you're going from $3,000, which is a basic, just a chair, to something with a motor that can do all sorts of, fancy, turning and that. You're going to get to somewhere between 5 and 8. And then you're looking at something like Phil's saying, where there are actual moving parts that have gears or hydraulics and things like that to get up depth. Yeah, you're probably looking at 3 times what a regular motorized chair would be.
Easy.
And let me I know, Jeff, you've got your hand up. I just want to say this. one of the reasons that I've avoided a motorized chair, and I know eventually age will probably require me to have one, just as we all get older and there's just things that we can't do.
Right.
But about 8, 9 years ago, maybe not that long, I was at a state park, and I go on my own, and I just do my thing, take a ride, hour out or whatever, and it was in the middle of summer, it was hot, and there was a van parked, and there was a gentleman in a wheelchair parked up against the building that was like an outhouse. Mm-hmm. And it was high noon. There were no shadows anywhere. And that's how I kind of noticed him. And the van that he had, the lift itself, was halfway between the ground and the floor of the van. And what happened is the gal that was with him, I don't know if it was his wife, girlfriend, or caretaker, was calling for help because the battery died on the lift itself.
Oh. You can have an operator.
There were problems with the chair. And the thing is, if you're alone, you're fucked. And
there's a AAA for that,
this guy's van.
Even proved with him, with somebody with him, it was for him to go. And my big fear is that even though it's a rare thing, but one of the motorized lifts, what if it stops while you are on it? And
shit.
These are things that people don't think about when they just say, well, why don't you get a motorized chair? It'd be easier. Well, yeah and no. At least with my manual chair, even if my manual chair, as I'm putting it together, would roll away from me, I'm still safe in my car. I'm not out in the element. So there is some method to my madness.
Yeah. Well, then you take, the manual chair when you're going out into the wilderness, and but this guy's motorized chair, even though he had a lift, his van was gorgeous. It's kind of lowered, really streamlined. It's kind of what you'd think the Batmobile would look like if it was a van. And he had a lift thing that went out, but the chair was such that it could have gotten into the van without a lift.
Anyway, let's get on to some other stuff.
What?
Huh?
Jeff.
Yeah,
Jeff, did you have your hand up, Jeff, on that?
Yeah, I was going to talk about wheelchairs just one more.
Okay, you finish it off.
All right. So I have a customer, and she's developing a wheelchair attachment, I'll say. And the attachment is, I'll just throw it because it's been brought up, is that you can actually move to the right, to the left, forward and back. Oh. And there's a certain amount of springiness to it that it could be adjusted for the different patients. The idea is to kind of give you a little bit more muscular work to make your body a little more strength, even though you may not be able to easily do this. In other places, in the chair, you can exercise every day, and there's an obvious benefit for that.
See, I have the feeling. I have the feeling that my legs are starting to go. That I'm getting cramps a lot and stuff like that. Although,
Patrick, get out your miniature violin,
wait a
please.
minute. So I'm thinking that maybe soon I might have to be in a wheelchair.
Not an elevator in your
building. I've decided. Well, we already have a ramp in our building because there's somebody that already is gimpified and uses the ramp, and I thank her for that. I keep wanting to thank her every time I see her because now when I come back from Costco, I don't have to haul my thing from up each step. I can just roll it right in the apartment house. But anyway, if I were to get to a position where I can't walk. And please pardon me for saying this, Patrick. I want to be a burden to everybody. I want to take full advantage of it. I want to get one of those little carts at Costco and get in it and just be nasty to everybody like all those people in the carts are. I mean, you know, I want to be a pain in the ass.
With my luck, if I rode one of those carts, I'd bump into somebody and they'd sue me.
You ever notice the people who have the carts at Costco, to begin with, the only reason they have a cart is because they're so fucking fat they can't walk.
Those people are judgment proof.
Hey.
What?
I ride those carts sometimes.
Well, yeah, but you got a bum knee.
Knee and ankle.
A knee and ankle, so you need it.
You ever make them do a wheelie?
I've gone through Disneyland on 2 wheels out of 3.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got yelled at.
They actually allow the machine. There's got to be mechanically a way to stop that.
What's that?
To do a wheelie on those
I'm
things.
sure that I could get...
No, but you make a turn, a nice quick tight turn,
sorry.
and I can get up on 2 wheels.
I thought you were popping a wheelie.
Yeah, Marjorie still has, I think, the cane she had when she was at Lourdes.
Well, you can use it.
And I maybe I use those and go over to Costco and say, I need one of those things, please. And then just start zipping around the place. Out of my way, everybody. You know,
they're parked right near the entrance. Usually it's near where they do the camera, the photo developing. And they're all just plugged in.
By the way,
you can take them.
This is for Patrick. I'm sure he's seen it. But I saw a guy who was, it was on, I think, on CBS Sunday Morning, who was gimpified, as I like to call it. He lost both his legs. That was it, and they were replaced with fake ones, which it was at the what do you call it, the lab in. The Massachusetts MIT lab.
MIT.
And they created these legs for him that, you know, work really well. They just have all the movement and everything you need. But anyway, he was wearing a T-shirt. And I checked it out, and you can get these T-shirts online. I don't know if you've ever heard this one, Patrick, but it said, I did it for the free parking.
I saw
Hey, I'm shopping for feet.
Oh, really?
What?
Yeah. Oh, well, can I say something about feet?
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm asking Patrick. Have you seen that sign yet?
I've heard it, but I haven't seen a T-shirt. That's pretty good.
And it's a picture of a guy in a wheelchair, but he's happy, and it says, "I'm in it for the parking."
There's a guy on Britain's Got Talent that hasn't spoken for 37 years, and he does a stand-up comedian act with a computer.
I saw the whole show the other night.
Yeah, and he's wearing that T-shirt.
That was where I saw it. That was where I saw it. He was the guy wearing the T-shirt.
I'm sorry, but Kevin, why are you looking for feet? Shoes?
It might come to that next year.
Yeah. Next year? You mean in the next 12 months they want your limbs?
It's possible.
How many limbs do they want?
I might have to have my left foot amputated.
Is there anything we can do?
Loan me money.
For
what? Hold on a second.
How is money going to fix?
Wait a minute. I have a friend that's doing a study right now at Stanford. He lost one of his legs. Wasn't a military thing. He's an athlete and a scuba diver. And he lost one of his legs. He's run half marathons and things like that. But right now he goes once a week.
If you lost a leg, all you can run is a half marathon, right?
Yeah, really. Yeah. He goes to Stanford once a week, and he's part of a study robotic foot.
Well, that's what I was just talking about out at the MIT. They get the robotic feet.
Right. Yeah, but this is so Kevin.
And my friend Andy,
I want to find out why he's going to lose his goddamn foot, and you're sitting here trying to impress us with somebody you know who's got robotic feet.
What Phil is talking about, is probably called what this guy was talking to me about. This Dory Sellinger down out of Salinas. He's a cyclist that lost his leg. The guy that's working on my whole thing, he's doing a brace for me, and it's called osteointegrated prosthesis. And what they do is run a rod right up to your bone and actually integrate the rod into your bone. Mm-hmm. And it becomes part of your leg, and then they run this prosthesis into actually becomes part of your leg. So
Oh,
you're actually extend the bone out.
The reason I mention it, Kevin, is because Stanford's not that far from you.
Yeah,
No,
Stanford is
and
not that
Stanford and UCSF are part of this whole
Right.
program.
They're doing this study, which my friend happens to be.
He said you're already kind of dealing with them, right, Kevin?
This is so experimental that it's not on the market yet.
Yeah, but
Correct.
Kevin is already dealing with them.
I understand.
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
It's very experimental, and I asked Andy about it when I saw him the other day, and he said, when are they going to come out with it on the market? And he said it's going to be a while.
By the way,
So you want to get into the
Britain's
study.
Got Talent is where I saw that sweatshirt. You probably watched a clip, right?
I did.
I saw the whole show. That's the best Got Talent show in the world. That one. It really
Yeah.
is.
What you saw on MIT was where I was watching the same thing. The stuff that they got going there.
But I was amazed how well that guy could walk. He lost both legs.
Yeah.
And yet,
this guy that I saw, he's part of the designing because he lost his leg over. He was in Oakland, and he's now one of the designers of these prosthetic legs and stuff. And they, they literally put chips in these things, and we were making jokes
these
about
these MIT legs. I think if I remember watching it, he was running with them, both of them.
Yeah, and they have chips in them.
Yeah.
And they detect when you're walking uphill, and they detect when you're walking downhill, and they adjust your foot to different terrains and the whole bit.
Yeah.
And so it's enabled by the rod going up, making one with.
That's
just
just
a different
the leg
thing.
part.
That's
just the rod that comes down out of your foot.
You know what?
Then
it's
once
kinda
you
like,
get your foot, the foot is a whole different animal.
You know what it reminds me of is the basis behind dental implants. Where you put an implant in and then you attach the tooth.
They do it wheat.
No, because see, you can't use that as an example because they don't move. Everything that Kevin just talked about has movability issues.
Well, wait a minute. Here comes Jeff. Jeff's the engineer for this kind of thing.
Sorry, tell me where I'm wrong.
The movability is beyond the end of it. In other words, the basic metal rod what they're putting in your bone is to attach it to stiffen out your leg, and at the same time it gives you at the bottom of it gives you the place to attach your foot.
Right, because the place where they attach it now is right there where the suction part where it attaches now is it's really a bad place. It's a bad place to attach it because it's a place where it can get irritated and suction and all kinds of stuff going on there.
And latex.
But what they're showing on the 60 Minutes thing was that they can attach sensors to the end of the stump, as it were, and it can detect movement from the nerves.
It was CBS. It was CBS Sunday morning.
Start movement to the foot and everything else.
It was CBS Sunday morning, and it was one of the things that MIT's tech lab has come up with. And it was amazing watching this guy walk. I mean, he was running and doing everything, as though, and he wore like shorts so you could see the leg.
He would think
so there was no
his foot to move, and it would move.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah.
Right.
But is that technology? Is that some of the technology you're going to see, Kevin, at the consumer level?
No. Kevin doesn't have that kind of money, right, Kevin?
No.
Well, I wanted to make Kevin aware that
there's studies.
Yeah, there's studies, and my friend Andy is in the one in Stanford.
Stanford, yeah, there's a study at Stanford.
He's one of the 6 guys I'm going to dive with tiger sharks next year, and
so he can lose the other leg.
So this guy's a Paralympic bike rider. He's always been a bike rider, and he got in an accident. His buddy died. And he lost his leg because it got sucked up into the fender of a car. And now he's gone deep into this whole thing. When I was talking to him about my brace, that's all I went in for.
Yeah.
He goes, well, he took pictures of my foot and everything and said, if you ever get to this point, and he tapped on his foot and he pulled up his pant leg and he says, if this ever comes
let
about,
me ask
'cause
you
your
about
foot's pretty jacked up. He said, "This is
Yeah. Let me
an
ask
option,
you-
and we got all kinds of things going on." And
Yeah.
Did he
We've
give you?
talked about
Okay,
it.
let me
A
ask you.
dollar
Let me
amount?
ask you about your foot. What is exactly wrong with it?
Well, my heel has fallen off my foot. It's
Oh.
been fused. It's been operated on 9 times. I've got an infection in the leg. It's a osteomyelitis. It's been fused. They want to fuse the heel again, and that's like a 50 to 75% chance of it not working.
What does the fusing do in the heel?
It's just basically welding it together.
I see. So it's
It's a
just
stability issue for that.
Yeah,
It helps with this.
the heel is sliding off.
Welcome
It's
once again
7,
to
8
Alex
meters.
Bennett's waiting room.
Yeah, but at least we're not on prostate talk. We're talking about joints and mechanisms and replacement.
When you're talking about the
parts.
prostate, you're talking about joints too, just another kind.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, these are the
But
interesting.
420.
This is all the
No,
technology.
it's not
that
interesting
At
to
some
you.
point in time, it's here.
Prostate isn't interesting to you because you're a woman and you don't have to deal with it.
No, honey, you were doing it the entire 8 months he was trying to decide what to do. We brought in somebody in to give him the information. We listened to the information. He brought in more information. We went through the whole thing with him. It was not just a month's worth of prostate talk.
Okay, how many guys are there here?
5.
How many women are there?
And your point is?
That's why we were talking about prostates.
For 8 months, right? Yeah, because you can. Yeah. Ooh, poor woman, you showed me. It was awful. Terrific. I now see the errors in my way.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Bring your vagina to the table anytime.
There you go.
You have a dog. Does a male dog have a prostate?
Don't all male mammals have
I think-
prostates?
I would think
Dogs
so.
can pee. They don't
The
have
answer is yes.
Either that,
Okay, thank
or
you.
they have it in a better. They have it in a better place, and God thought more of animals than they did of us.
So
So I heard something really cool. So how many of us know what a spleen is for? Because I really just thought a spleen was like an appendix. You don't really need it anymore.
I thought
right?
it was to clean the blood of certain food types.
But by the way, Tyson Acosta just wrote me. I think he's Rob.
He doesn't want to talk about spleens?
I think he's Rob Schneider's brother-in-law, but I'm not sure.
Oh,
he
we're
says,
sorry.
Jesus Christ, don't these boomers ever stop with their health shit?
Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
thank
Tyson,
you, thank you.
Alex is not a boomer.
Oh,
honey, it was way before boomers.
yes, Patrick.
I'm a Gen Xer, so he can go fuck off.
There you go. So I was listening
Lucky
to
his brother
Science.
got money.
I was listening to Science Friday on Friday, and they were talking about.
Why isn't it on Saturday? Because it's called Science Friday.
So they now know why the children why people in Indonesia or that live on the water or near the water are able to dive down and keep and hold their breaths long as they possibly can, and why this is all something that works for them
Those
is
people
because
are shooting at them.
it goes through their spleen, their ability to process
Nitrogen.
the oxygen in their systems is processed through the spleen. Now, we don't go underwater enough to actually see that difference, but they've taken these poor people and dissected them. No, I don't know how they figured this out, but they talk about it. And so the spleen is a very important part of being a waterborne individual.
I thought it was because the government shoot at them, and if they came up, they get shot.
Yes, because everybody in the Philippines and Taiwanese.
By the
are
way,
Vietnamese,
Tyson's
right?
also wrote again, like they're the only people who have ever had health issues. No, but we're some of them. So that's why we
Hey,
talk
like
about
Tyson, what is he, a chicken salesman?
it. Huh?
Tyson?
Ask Tyson if he's got a vagina and tell him to man up and get his ass on the show.
Yeah, that's right. Because I see that he has Skype because his name pops up every now and then.
All right, then tell him to tell him to bitch up and get on and dial.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he's gonna yap and bitch about it, then say it to our face.
Okay,
Yeah,
let
this
me
guy-
get us off health, and I'm keep us apprised of your foot because we do care, Kevin. We like you a lot. I didn't give a shit
Yeah,
about.
it's not going to happen.
I didn't
soon.
give
gotta wear
a shit about Phil's prostate, but he had this mini Mac, and I wanted to buy it anyway.
Yeah, he was just hoping I dropped dead before he had to give me the credit card.
Yeah, but anyway, let me bring up something else here, and this is something that I'm sure bothers you, Phil. They say they've been complaining that while she was First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama got something like on the cover of 300 different magazines, and so far Melania Trump has only wound up on one.
Yeah, well, yes. Oh wait, I'm
work.
Huh?
Are we just?
She didn't need the work.
The work?
Well, you know what I thought was interesting.
It's,
you know what I thought was interesting is during the funeral. Did you see Obama look over and talk to Melania during the funeral?
She smiled.
No, what did Michelle do?
She smiled.
She smiled.
It was actually a really nice smile.
And she smiled a real smile.
Who was talking to her? Obama?
Obama, yeah. And
You
you know what I think
you know
he
why?
said to her?
What?
I think he said, if you ever need a room, come by.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. I wonder.
We got a place for you if you can't take it no more.
When I heard he was sending Melania, I was saying to myself, why? And then all of a sudden it hit. No, because he was a coward.
No,
he was a coward. He didn't want to show up. He didn't want to show up and have to look Obama in the face and the Clintons in the face. What do you mean, no?
And the Bushes.
And the Bushes.
It's standard at a first lady's funeral for the first lady to go.
Then how come Hillary was there? How come all the other first ladies were there?
Hillary was a first lady.
Yes, and then how come the presidents accompanied them?
Hillary doesn't let.
I'm sure if we. The fact of the matter is, yes, Patrick.
First of all, Phil is correct. Protocol is that if first lady go to the first lady funeral, typically presidents have not in the past. It's very rare, although it has happened. The other thing is, Trump made a very good decision, whether it was his own or somebody told him, stay the fuck away.
And he actually listened.
Was not like, or did not like Trump, and out of respect for the Bush family, I think it was a very good call that Trump did not go.
But you have to admit, he would have felt very awkward having to look Obama in the face and look the Clintons in the face and look Jeb Bush in the face.
Plus, it would have been disruptive.
That's what he said. Trump said that he didn't want all the security and the things that would have disrupted the funeral. He didn't want it to be about him. You don't think
there was security there? You don't think that all those former presidents still have security?
Yeah. Not like the current sitting president.
No, but most of the Secret Service is already there, so they wouldn't have been dispatching, oodles and oodles of them because they were already,
That's not the way it works.
All I'm saying.
But I do have to agree with Patrick. It was a smart move not to go, and the sheer fact that he actually listened to somebody for once is just amazing. Because even the other day when he was told not to say something and he turned around with that big ass smirk on his face and said 2 words and he was so proud of himself. He was just so proud of himself for saying something when they said not to. So Patrick, if somebody said something to him and not show up, fucking A. That's wonderful.
He did the right thing.
And Barbara Bush, right before she died, I had read something where it said, or she said, how can any woman have voted for him? I mean, whether or not I agree, disagree, whatever with that, Barbara Bush did not like him. And he went after the Bush family, and he really had no place there, period. And I think it was a good sign of respect, whether it was his own idea of being respectful or someone else took him aside and said, stay home.
When he attacked low-energy Jeb during the election, that's when Barbara Bush went after him.
No, when we heard that video, that tape. I'm sorry.
Jeff wants to say something.
I think you guys are all wrong.
Okay.
The reason Trump didn't show up is it was golf day. And he was in Florida. And he said, Jesus, I got a whole day and nobody else is going to drive me crazy.
The wife is out of town.
That's right.
There's something else that happened. I think they were dealing with Syria and bombing the base.
No, that was last week.
Oh.
The Japanese prime minister actually golfs with Trump.
And by the way,
so when
you live in a very modern day and age. The president does not have to be at the White House in order to deal with any and all issues that might come up. Okay.
Well, I think if Patrick's right, all he just actually said was, "Look, you've got an out. Don't show up
here's
here.
an interesting thing.
Don't show up here."
I don't think he was afraid. He just didn't want to make a stink.
Let me bring something up here that's kind of an interesting thing. What's his name? John Oliver this week and did a bit on Trump's feeling about the Iran nuclear deal, and he mentioned a lot of things that Trump is absolutely wrong about. I mean, that he's just had the information wrong. But the point he made that was a very good point is that in the time since they signed the nuclear deal, they have not built any centrifuges, and they are under strict observation that no, Iran has not been keeping people out, and from looking at their stuff, they have they have to give in to inspections, and they have lived up to their part of the deal. If the president pulls out of the accord, they can start building their nuclear devices again. So how do you feel about that, Phil?
I say try it. You know,
what do you mean? What do you mean? Try
it. Not the prime minister,
no,
but
they have said that they would not build. They would not build any more nuclear centrifuges, or try to. Wait a minute. Let me finish. Or try to make usable fuel, as it were, or
10 years.
For 10 years. No, but for 10 years. But wait a minute. Let me finish. But that if the accord is ever done away with, they will go right back to building.
The accord allows them in 10 years to start building. In 10 years.
Unless we get them to sign another accord. No accord is ever permanent.
Well, you know, and they have been sponsoring, they're a state sponsor of terrorism.
Forget about any of that. We're talking about the fact that we have an accord with them that is keeping them from building a nuclear device. And what you're saying is that what I'm saying is, and what it is said, is that if Trump says he's getting out of that deal, then it negates the deal, and they'll go right back to building them. They'll get back to doing what he claims that they're doing anyway, which they're not. They're clearly not.
He's been advised not to get out of the deal by a number of people, and we'll see what happens.
Well, Macron told him. And Macron, as somebody described, and I'll get to Patrick. I see your hand up there, Patrick. Somebody mentioned Macron. Macron uses an old French tale. And the tale is that there's this fox, and he wants some bread that a crow has in his mouth. And so he goes up to the crow, and he starts flattering him like crazy and saying, "You're such a beautiful crow. You're such a wonderful crow. How did you get to be that way?" And when the crow opened his mouth in order to give him an answer, the food dropped to the ground, and the fox ran away with it. That's Macron. What you do is you just flatter the shit out of him, and you'll get anything you want. One of the things he probably got this weekend was to convince him not to leave the Iran accord.
Hey, whatever the deal is.
Wait a minute. Patrick has his hand up. Patrick has his hand up. What?
That's what I was going to say. That may be why there are people within his circle convincing him to reconsider that whole accord. It's just due to that fact that if he does end it, that they can go back right away versus in 10 years. Because Phil's right with 10 years, but like Alex says, no accord is permanent. So it's not like the Geneva Convention.
And you don't know that
deal.
You don't know what the landscape there is going to be like in 10 years. It could be considerable. It could be How do you know it's going to be worse, Phil?
Because we could put sanctions on these guys that are going to be difficult for them to develop these things.
Yes, Jeff.
I read the John Oliver thing this week, and it's really well written. And Phil, you ought to read it.
Or watch it.
You'll learn more about it. than we've learned in years.
Yeah.
Didn't he get a Peabody last year for his show?
No, he got an
a
Emmy.
very high level award.
I used to watch that cartoon.
He got an Emmy.
He got an Emmy. Okay, and then did you hear one of the rappers got a very high level award? He got a Pulitzer or something like that?
I don't know, but Meek Mill is getting out.
Who's Meek Mill?
See, I knew that I wouldn't get even a flinch from anybody here.
He's a rapper that's been in jail.
He's been in jail, and I think everybody's saying for all the wrong reasons that the judge had an axe to grind, and that he shouldn't be in jail. And they finally, the Superior Court or Supreme Court, maybe of New Jersey or someplace, I can't remember where, has said you're out. Go. You pay a bail, and then we'll deal with it.
Pardon a black boxer, I believe.
Yes.
Oh, don't even. Oh, he's going to talk about Jack Johnson.
Jack
Yeah,
Johnson.
that's it.
Yeah.
All right, who wants to talk?
It's a little late.
Jesus. And did you know what they did to him? What a horrible thing. I mean, just his whole. If you guys don't know, if you're not into boxing, I
think
get it.
He was hanging out with a white woman.
No.
And he violated Jim Crow laws, and that's why they jailed him.
That's not the only reason they jailed him. They jailed him because they wanted to get him. There's a movie called The Great White Hope, and that's where that term comes from. He was the Great White Hope.
Johnson was black.
I know, but he was the Great White Hope because they could get him.
Yeah. So if you've not seen this movie, it's important. It's disgusting, and it's important.
Yeah, the only thing is, in the end, he turns out to be Darth Vader.
Yeah. Talking about movies, I mentioned Damien's show. I saw a movie called Kodachrome.
Yeah, I know it's on Netflix. Big deal.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Good.
I like.
That means I was going to watch it, but now I have no reason to watch it. It's the same reason if Snyder likes something, I don't watch it either. Yes.
I like the coffee I recommend.
Yes, Renee.
So can I pivot? Because we've got some exciting stuff happening. We're having a series of earthquakes near the volcano.
Oh, really?
And the volcano people have just issued a notice saying that we've got lava spillage at the top, and that they're expecting maybe another fire hose in the near future. So it's
people. Is that kind of like the mud people that the Nazis?
No, I was thinking when she said the volcano people. They live in the volcano and they come out every night and terrorize the townspeople. You know.
So we might have some very interesting stuff happening soon.
Wow.
There was
and this is on your island?
Yeah, it's down that way.
There was an earthquake.
Not close to it.
It was a 5.5 earthquake in an area that usually doesn't get earthquakes. Yesterday or the day before.
What's the matter, Jeff? You wouldn't live here? Is that what you're saying? Is it too close?
Listen, I'm living dangerously. There's a fault that goes right through Central Park.
There is a fault that goes Central Park. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's not like you guys have building codes that would actually even save your asses.
A couple years ago, and they hit Washington D.C. The Washington Monument.
Washington Monument got they had to they had to fix it up. Yeah. No, I mean,
and then the big one,
the largest fault in the United States isn't even in California. It's called the New Madras Fault, and it's in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Yep, and you think they've got that you guys don't have good building codes for earthquakes. They have no building codes for earthquakes.
Well, but also because the thing is never really gone, but they say there's a good chance there's going to be a real bad one sometime soon because it hasn't released itself in centuries.
The problem with the Midwest, like Alex says, the only thing that holds those things down is the garden hose that is connected.
No, that's my tornado joke. All right. Why is it they hit trailer parks? Because the only thing that holds those things to the ground is a garden hose. Yeah, that's the joke.
Got it. So, Jeff, would you like to see some lava? Because I know where to go. I actually have photos that I haven't put up yet.
Speaking of flow, how is your prostate, Phil?
See, we're talking about a fire hose. A fire hose.
Yeah. Speaking of fire hoses, how's your prostate, Phil?
And lava shoots out of it.
Speaking of lava shooting, how's your
new land?
Prostate, Phil?
morning, I pee like it's a fire hose.
Yeah. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Didn't need a helicopter to see that coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, to Tyson's Acosta, as they did with Chuck Berry. Oh yeah, because they got Chuck Berry for the Mann Act, which was crossing state lines.
I thought it's because you the man.
Well, there were these two guys, and they were trapped on a deserted island, one day they were walking because they wanted to get some porpoises for dinner, and they grabbed the porpoises, and they're walking back, and there's a lion blocking their way, and they walk very cleverly over the lion so he won't wake up, at which point they're arrested by the cops for going across a stately line with immortal porpoises.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. It's an old joke, and I told it badly. And
We
I'm
could have
sorry.
rim-shotted that one, don't you think?
We're going across stately line with immortal porpoises. They were called the Island of the Immortal Porpoises. I forgot that part of it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wah, wah,
Wah, wah, wah. Well, let's see here. So, let's see here. So we got one guy who's had his medical condition fixed. We have one who needs to get his medical condition fixed. We've got one who has a medical condition constantly. Right, Patrick?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw on Facebook, Alex, but I posted a picture of the catheter and stent that I ripped out of myself.
Not on my Facebook page.
It should be somewhere near the top, and I got a photo of it with the Foley bag and the tube and the syringe that you deflate the balloon with, and then the catheter, and then the stent at the top.
Let me ask you something, Patrick. If you deflate the balloon, but you didn't fully deflate it, and then you pull, does it hurt?
No, I was just going to say the best part, and I say that facetiously, is as you do it, you inhale, you take a deep breath, and then you exhale as you pull it out. Well, it's really, really long because I've got this stent in there, and as I finally got it almost out, my whole body shook, and the stent came out.
Okay, all right.
Let him finish.
You give it to him, Tyson.
Let him finish.
At the end of the stent, which is little plastic filament, there was a piece of meat. It looked like I went fishing.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Don't
Shut the fuck up. You know,
Let's have a barbecue.
let me just soften the blow here by telling you the time that my cat at Christmas time ate some Christmas foil, and it came out her ass, but it was just hanging out, so I pulled it out, and it came out with dingleberries all over it, and the cat went shooting across
It's
the
like
road.
tinsel, right?
Anyway, it's like tinsel. They love tinsel. Wow. What a way to end the show, folks. If I had done this in my regular radio career, I wouldn't have had one. Jeff, thank you so much for being here tonight, Jeff. Nice having you occur on our program. Then Renee Collins.
It makes Jeff feel good.
Calling from Hawaii. Calling from Wisconsin is Patrick. Calling from the other side of the mountain is Phil Meyer. And, of course, Kevin. And we'll keep us posted on what's happening, okay? You guys are great because you make me feel well. Anyway.
Hey.
What?
You make Jeff feel healthy.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm doing good.
Anyway, thanks, everybody. Why don't you, I think, a big, nice time for you to all wave a big goodbye so that they can, there they are, saying goodnight, ladies and gentlemen. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. There we go. I got my camera on. Let me hang up on them and get rid of them so the next show can come on. Let me see here. Offline. Make sure that's off. Okay, so the next show can now do it. Okay, I'm Alex Bennett. The next show is The Intersection. Next over most of this same station. Tomorrow night there will be a franchise MC with the arena at 8:30, but there's no Damien tomorrow night. But then I'll be back again tomorrow night at 10 with a third and final 50-minute installment of my interview with Jack Garfien about Auschwitz. If you don't listen to anything else, you got to hear this. I'll see you again tomorrow night, same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Okay.